us and talk to that guy and talk to us. I just do mindless tasks over and over. They took care of all they paid him, no one paid him, and all the volunteers. And they put on there, and the signet come back and said, we won't pay back for the surgery and stuff like that. They would have to take care of all that. So I wasn't with a third.
Well, I think that's
a fair.
You did a good job. That's very glad to know that.
The person said that we didn't have a case. You know, it may get sent, I mean, Scott, he told me, he said, you know, if we don't agree on something, it does go before a judge, he said, cause I'm not getting nothing. You know, the judge might say, you don't have a case, you don't get nothing. So he said, let's work and see what we can get. We got it.
Right. That's right. Maybe you got that knowledge.
Yes, sir.
All right, 7 o'clock, let's call this meeting to order. Ms. Blanton, will you roll call?
Mr. Thomas?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Cordell?
Here.
Commissioner Fowler?
Here.
Commissioner Locklear?
Here.
Commissioner Moore?
Here.
Mayor Black?
Present. Let's bow our heads for invocation. Dear God, our Father in heaven, we are grateful and thankful this evening for the opportunity to stand. We'll see it here. Doing business for the town of Ranlo, we pray, God, that your instructions will be upon our hearts and our minds as we go throughout this meeting. We do pray for our town. We also pray for our country, Lord. We pray that you allow love to put the unity back in our country. The United States of America. Help us to unite, Lord, during this crisis instead of divide. I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, first item on the agenda is adoption. We need a vote to adopt the agenda for tonight.
I'll make a motion to adopt.
Have a second.
I'll second.
All right, Kate, second. All in favor? So carried. We also, next item will be the adoption of the minutes.
Make a motion.
Have a second.
I'll say it.
You got Doug, second. All in favor? So carried. All right, no comments?
There are none.
Next item is the repeal of our personnel ordinance and adoption of a new personnel policy.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. The last time the personnel policy was updated was in 2015, and at that time, the board chose to codify that via ordinance. I spoke with the town attorney about that, and that's not a common practice. It can be done, but it's easier when it comes time to making revisions, making changes, just to have a policy that can be amended at the discretion of the board. So I've taken the liberty of putting a comprehensive policy together. There is a lot of articles, a lot of sections in the policy, many things hopefully we will not need, but I would much rather have a very detailed policy in place with practices and procedures if we do need them than to need them and not have them. You have those before you tonight. There are a few items that I did want to bring to your attention. The board does not have to act on these tonight, but at the August meeting, I would like to bring back an attachment, an addition to clarify some of the issues that I have. Those were outlined in a memo that I sent to all of you on the 6th, but the first issue that I want to get clarification and guidance on is probationary status. It appears as though the generally accepted practice has been that an employee gets a 50 cents on the hour pay increase after 6 months and then 50 cents after a year. I couldn't find that anywhere in prior policy. I wanted to gauge your interest on that. Many different municipalities handle each different ways. Some do a 2.5% raise after 6 months, and then that's it. Some do 2.5 after 6 months, and then 2.5 after a year. So I would welcome any type of guidance or comments on that.
I think moving said it makes more sense than a flat rate.
And I would agree with Ms. Cordova, that a flat rate really isn't fair. It is different for each, category of employee based on their pay. I would recommend that we do a 2.5% pay increase after a 6-month probationary period, if that is agreeable to the board. And then, moving on to the second issue or second question that I had, in regards to comp time. I put in the revised policy that non-exempt employees would get time and a half for each hour they got. Exempt employees would get hour for hour. It has been, based on my understanding, the policy of the town of Ranlo to allow employees to cash out 40 hours of comp time twice a year, so totaling 80. I did not put that in the revised policy. I wanted to gauge, board on that issue. I'm not familiar with any other places that handle it like that. Comp time isn't allowed everywhere, and it's really at the discretion of the board as to how they would like to handle it. And I also have not put a cap on for, comp time earned. Naturally, the more comp time an employee earns, it's a long-term liability for the town. It's time accrued that would have to be paid off at the time of separation. So my first question would be, would the board like to see a cap on the comp time? And if so, what would be your thoughts on that?
Well, I for one would like to see a cap on it. I don't know what that magic number would be off the top of my head. Right.
I envision the cap of, if the board wanted to continue to allow comp time to be cashed out twice a year, 40 hours each time, perhaps a cap of 200 hours, and then 80 hours to be cashed out once a year, or twice a year, 40 twice a year, and then 120 would be roughly the comp time, what would be one time. But really, that's at the discretion of the board.
I would much rather we have our non-exempt employees earn overtime rather than comp time.
Sure.
We can move the comp time during a budget freeze or something, but it's much cleaner to just pay straight overtime rather than having to keep track of those extra hours and then decide what to, it's just simpler.
And the policy was intentionally drafted to be vague, that the department head would have discretion of overtime or comp time. And it may be that we revise that policy, clarify, saying that overtime is the preferred method for exempt employees, and the non-exempt employees would be hour for hour, subject to financial restrictions or something along those lines. So we can certainly do that.
On the leftover 120, does that roll over to the following year, or they lose it?
That they would,
It's
correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Wynn, but once that comp time, once they've earned it, it's earned time, it's there, it can't be lost. So it would roll over.
Does that 120 count towards their cap on the following year?
Let's just say December 31st, you had, 120 hours,
Right.
and then January 1, you have 120 hours, and you continue to accrue to 200, and then you can cash it out. Or I just said the 120, 200, throwing that out there, really those gaps can be anything the board determines. Ms. Wyndham, do you have any thoughts?
Well, I think it's, again, I think the board makes that call, obviously, and, but, I see it all over the map, all sorts of, you know.
I'd like to see you still be able to cash it out, because some of the employees use that as, like, extra vacation money or extra Christmas money or something like that.
We can certainly codify 40 hours,
I
you
mean,
know,
it's-
cash out
it's-
plus you.
It's legal.
I never worked for president, you can pay out comp time. So I'm sure that's good, but being, our history with comp time, I'm not really for paying out comp time. I would much rather do like the overtime, they earn it, than get to a stickler of trying to keep up with people's time. I work 4 hours over this week and 7 hours over, I'd rather not, that we didn't pay out comp time. But then again, I'm saying, I've never worked in a place where you could cash in comp time, so, usually loves company. Yeah.
So it's basically salary people that you're talking about will be eligible for comp time, and, hourly pay, will be overtime.
Right.
Time and a half.
Right, that's what.
So that's
Yeah.
suitably,
Or just overtime.
we don't have that many salary people.
It would just be a department manager.
Department four,
Myself, it's all, we're really all salary, it's just based on hours worked towards retirement through salary. So what we can do is I will, on the attachment for next month, have a recommendation for a cap, and then we can, discuss it further then if the board so agrees. Okay. Moving on to the third item, this is a longstanding practice of the town based on my understanding that if an employee is called back to work, they would get 2 hours comp time or overtime under the new system, and then 8 hours of standby pay for being on call. That's not in our former policy, but I have added that because that seems to be the longstanding practice that the town of Ranlo has exercised. So if the board has no issue with that, we'll continue that as is. I have also revised the vacation leave policy in a manner similar to Lowell, but slightly generous. I would like to be able to entice people to come to work for Ranlo and encourage them to stay. So there is a revised vacation policy in there that's close to Lowell, but a little more generous on vacation time earned. Currently, the former way of doing it, it changed almost year to year. Here we broke it down into 0 to 2 years, 2 to 5 years, 5 to 9, 9, 15, 15 plus years. This seems to be pretty standard in the middle of the road where most municipalities are just slightly more generous than Lowell. The Lowell was really the model that I looked at for that policy. And on that same note, sick time. Currently, all employees get 8 hours of sick time per month. I've changed that to a prorated formula to allow the officers to incur slightly more sick leave each month, whereas they work 12-hour shifts and other employees typically work 8. So I've done a prorated formula where regular employees would earn 96 hours per year, that's 8 a month, and then the police officers would get 100.8 sick leave per year. So if the board has no problem with that, I would like to continue that. I think that's fair for the police officers to be able to improve, to occur slightly. Moving on to holidays. Currently, we have numerous holidays, including Columbus Day and President's Day. A lot of municipalities do not observe one or the other of both of those. We have looked at the idea of possibly keeping President's Day due to the fact that schools are usually closed, parents need to be home with their kids. Columbus Day, the idea that I had, and I wanted to gauge your interest on it, is making that floating holiday to give an employee the option to take a day, any day that they would like to throughout the year, and keeping town hall and operations going on Columbus Day. That seems to be the general trend. I didn't run across many other municipalities in my research that took Columbus Day off. So I would recommend that we keep President's Day and then Columbus Day becoming a floating holiday for an employee to take at their discretion and department head's discretion.
But one time we did their birthdays.
The birthday, sure.
And, let that, cause it's, all over the place,
Right.
And they usually don't work too well on the birthday.
Right. And that can certainly be an
And if
option.
the birthday fell on Saturday or Sunday, they could take Friday or Monday.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes,
But I
ma'am.
like the floating holiday, anyway, I like the floating day too.
And they could take their birthday
Right.
another day, as long as it, my only concern, I could envision very easily that people would want to take maybe the Wednesday before Thanksgiving or the day after Christmas, so it has to be kind of a first come, first serve discretionary basis.
A
But
lot of people like the birthday off.
Right. Oh, yes, sir.
It's a special day, so that way you wouldn't have the, everybody wanting
Right.
to take, like you say, the same day off.
Yes, sir.
So would that just be at the discretion of the department head?
Yes, ma'am.
Whoever asked for it first, would
Right.
take that day.
Those are the major issues that I wanted guidance and clarification on. The rest of the policy is around 35 pages long. A lot of it is boilerplate legalities that you need in a personnel policy, and a lot of it codifies what we had with a hodgepodge of other policies that are generally accepted in municipalities across North Carolina. But I'll be glad to answer any questions or clarify any concerns that you may have on what I have covered. And if none, I would like, and this may help with this as well, would 2 motions be necessary? One to repeal the personnel ordinance?
Yes.
Okay.
Alright, so we need to first, vote, repeal the standing.
I'll make a motion.
Do that,
Second.
so you do that in August.
Yeah.
Personnel. Do we need to postpone?
I thought you mentioned a minute ago that you were going to do this, adopted in August.
Right, I was
Okay.
hoping we would adopt it, and I did have an attachment with the items that I wanted to
Oh,
clarify.
good, good, that's,
Adopt this
I'm
as
with
is.
you, I misunderstood.
No, I may not be clear, I'm sorry.
All right, so we got a motion and a second, Effie second, to repeal the old ordinance. All in favor? All right, now we need a motion to accept the new ordinance, and we will have some amendments in August.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion.
And that motion really should read the new policy
The new policy.
instead of the ordinance.
Is that an ordinance?
Accepting the new policy. All right, all in favor of it? All right, so carried. The next item on the agenda is approval of the audit contract for, fiscal year 18-19.
Mr. Garrett has concluded the 17-18 audit, it's been sent to the LGC, they have accepted that audit, so now we are on to 18-19. At the conclusion of the 18-19 audit, we will be current less this prior fiscal year, 19-20. So I hope to have that to you all by August and then award the 19-20 contract in August to be concluded, and then we will be current on all of our ordinance of the conclusion or of our audit.
I'll make a motion that we,
Motion.
approve, Mr. Carrick for the, 2018-19 audit contract.
So,
Second by Effie, all in favor? So carried. All right, next item on the agenda is discussion of the volunteer policy and citizen advisory master plan.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. I have put together a volunteer application that I would like the board to approve. It asks pretty standard questions, and then it allows or it requires the applicant to sign a waiver that would release the town from any liability that may be incurred, during that volunteer in their, volunteer capacity. It would protect the town, it would protect the volunteer. This would be for a planning and zoning member, a Parks and Rec volunteer, or someone on that citizen advisory board that, the mayor alluded to that's on the agenda. Last month, as you will recall, we approved the scope of work for Creech and Associates to look at, renovations to the municipal complex, that corridor study. I would like to gauge citizen input on that. I would like to circulate this policy to gauge interest, to see, who and how many people would have an interest in serving in an advisory capacity, strictly advisory only, to give opinions to bring back to the board. I would like to have the volunteer application approved, use the next few weeks to gauge interest, and then bring a list of those who've expressed interest back to the board to appoint to that advisory board. So it would be approving volunteer application, circulating it, getting a list of names, and then bringing it back to the board for you all to determine, who is and is not on the board and the size of that board.
All right, so we don't need to vote on anything there, but we do appreciate that. Next
I would
item.
like, I'm sorry, excuse me, but just approval of the volunteer application, just a motion to approve that.
I make a motion that we, approve the volunteer application.
Did you have something, Mr.
I
Pepper?
do have a question on the board, so is there gonna be a maximum number of people or a certain number of people that will be on the board, so if you have a lot of people that's interested in being
Right.
on board?
Right.
And then the selection process, who's determining
The
who's
board.
on the board?
The Board of Commissioners would determine the makeup of the board. I hope we have a lot of interest, we may have a lot, we may not have much at all. What I would like to do is put it out there that we're accepting applications for volunteer boards, see how much of an interest we have, and then in August, come back to the board and say, we've had 9 people show interest, could we create a 9-member advisory board? So,
Hopefully we get everybody from all parts of the.
absolutely.
All
Is
sections
this
of
gonna
it.
take, excuse me, I'm sorry,
Okay.
didn't mean to interrupt you. Is this gonna take the place of the zoning board we already have?
No.
And, okay,
Yeah, this would be a new board,
okay.
just a strictly advisory with no type of real authority except to making suggestions. and recommendations.
It's just for the one time thing.
Yes, for this plan study. Yes, sir.
Alright.
So I would just ask for a motion to accept, or to approve the volunteer policy.
All right, have a motion.
I make a
Should
motion.
have a second.
Oh, we have a motion, second.
I'll say all the motions.
Robert.
Second. All in favor? So carried. Next item, approval of the Cleveland Gas and Lincoln Regional Hazard Mitigation.
and this is just to allow the town to be eligible to apply for any type of FEMA reimbursement due to any natural disasters. We're working on damage from the tornado and the thunderstorms that we had in February that caused damage to a sewer line over here on Brand Street. And we're also on a revolving basis for COVID-19 relief funds that may be available. This was put together by the NPO, and they had sent this draft resolution for us to approve in order to continue to be eligible.
Is this a yearly approval?
I believe it's every 5 years that it has to be approved, if I'm not mistaken. We do not, that's it.
Mr. Fowler, you got.
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
I'll second that motion.
And a second. All in favor? So carried. All right, town manager's report.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before you tonight, you have a, frequently asked questions for why water and sewer bills are going up. We've compiled this to try to answer some residents' questions about the change, to put some pictures on there to show why the rates are necessary. I'm sure that all of you are going to be questioned about the rates when the August billings go out, so I wanted to provide that for you as really a visual to show why we're moving to this tiered structure. And also, we can compile 2 example bills that I have for you so that you can see what rates will be currently and what it would be after that, in case someone does indeed question you. And I think it is important to underscore that it is moving to a tiered structure. The more that you use, the more you're going to pay. It's tied to that. I was actually talking to someone earlier this week who was going to see a small decrease if she continues the usage. Going, unfortunately, I looked at the commissioner's accounts. Unfortunately, y'all will be going up some slightly based on usage. So I think that is important to underscore too, that the commissioners did not vote to raise rates on everyone and exclude themselves. So I think that that is important to note, and I wanted to present that to all of you tonight to use as you may be questioned. I also want to give a big thanks to Public Works. Mr. Green and the guys worked on the 4th of July, 2 major water breaks. It was incredibly hot, and it was a very, very long day for them, but they did an excellent job. There was no complaints, and I really appreciate Jason's work down there and the guys for working on a holiday, on a Saturday, on one of the hottest days that we've had. So they did a great job repairing those water breaks and getting everything back up and going. Also, I want to commend our police department and the Ranlo Fire Department for helping with the parade at the Church of God. It was also hot that day that we were out there, and they did an excellent job directing traffic and really putting on quite a show for it. So I really appreciate Chief work with that. Also, I want to thank and commend our new Director of Finance and Developmental Services, Ms. Johnson. She's done a great job coming in between fiscal years, getting everything straightened and taken care of going into 2020, 2021, and finding sales tax that had been unclaimed. We're going to be getting about $60,000 back in sales tax that had not been claimed. We caught onto that and filed a report, so that's certainly going to help as we are in the midst of uncertainty when it comes to sales tax for next year. On that same note, our new Parks and Rec Director, Ms. Corcorell's done a great job working with CDBG, some FEMA research that I've had in doing. We're actually preparing to unveil a CDBG grant proposal for numerous streets over from Branch to behind the store to behind Warlick. We're looking at compiling some old maps together, putting a application put together to get some new water and sewer lines through there. Corey's been leading that, and we're really feeling confident about that. We're working with an engineering group to get some new water and sewer lines through there, and I feel certain that we'll be a strong contender come the fall. And since I'm giving accolades, I will thank Mr. McMillan. He helped a lot with the research for the personnel policies. He reached out to some municipalities for me, got me some drafts and things to look at, so certainly appreciate that. And I believe that's all I have as a formal report tonight.
Yeah, the only thing I have to report on is the parade and the event that we had, the God and Country event at the Ranlo Church of God. Those children, deprived of their graduation ceremonies, they were really, really excited about riding through town, out of the cars, and people coming out waving, and really responded well. It was very emotional for me, and I was glad to be a part of that. So I do appreciate the Ranlo Church of God stepping up to play.
I thought the service was great too. Thought you did a good job.
Really? Well, thank you. Did my best. Okay. Anybody else have any comments?
Mr. Mayor, Good.
I wanted to ask about the surveys that you needed from the residents
Yes.
that live over there. You needed something where they have to provide their income.
Yes, ma'am.
How is that going? And
I hope
I just
that.
want an update on that.
Absolutely. I hope that those mailings will be going out this week. Those surveys are gonna be going out. We have about 274 houses that we're going to need 75% participation for in order to be eligible for the CDBG grant. We're gonna have paper copies, we're gonna have an online link for people to go fill out, and then worst comes to worst, we're gonna go door to door to canvas to get the help that we need. I've had great success reaching out to community partners that are willing to help, that, have vowed to be able to go out and help us if we're not able to get that threshold. So we hope to have those packets going out this week or next. And it's our goal to have all of them completed by the end of July. So ambitious, but aim high, and hopefully we can get those 75% participation rates. But they'll be going out this week.
What's the approximate cost of that if we had to come out of pocket for that project?
Oh my goodness, I'm shooting for in the millions for the grant funding that we're looking for. It may not be that high, but it would certainly be several $100,000 just for one particular section. And like I said, we're looking at the section behind Warlick, down Redland onto Neely, in that area, Branch Street, and then over here from Love to Crescent, to this side of Ranlo Avenue. So, I would be hard pressed to put a price tag on it, but we can certainly have an estimation if and when we are able to get the grant to see, because that would be how much it would cost us if we did it in-house.
Is this gonna include the line circle loop for the water line? Because I know there's not there's only one way in, one way out for that water flow, there's no, what we call it backflow or something.
There's no loop in the system.
Yeah, right. It would be the backside round. We're, part of the packet that's gonna come out later this week will show a map of everyone that will be affected by that. There's certain criteria the federal government puts on for CDBG grant. It has to be certain income, certain neighborhoods are eligible, some are not. Usually it's tied to income, the amount of median household income. So the Wooten Company is the engineering firm that is helping us with this, and they've done a great job diving in and assessing sociodemographics of neighborhoods that will be strong contenders and those that may be eligible later on for different things. Because there's certainly lots of areas in the town that need it.
Would you be willing to provide an update on Boulder Court?
Oh, absolutely. The engineers have been out, the last 2 weeks on Boulder Court. That's going through the Wooten Company as well. They called in locates. They were out there, I believe Monday and Tuesday. They concluded all of their locates and will be moving into the next phase. I appreciate the patience of everyone down there because they came through and put the flags out at the worst time, 4th of July, with everyone cutting grass and wanting their yard to be neat and clean. But the ball is rolling on that, and I hope that we'll have more of a detailed assessment, detailed report in the next few weeks, but certainly by the August meeting to have some more updates on what we're all about.
Hey, Doug, the report on fire water.
I think the comments people asking about buying the bricks and flagpole, right, the fire department, the board is, asked to hold off on that for right now because of, we got some placement issues of where we're gonna put the flagpole at and the monument or the bricks, so. As soon as that comes available, I'll let everybody know that they're coming up for sale. As of right now, they're holding off on them.
Now, y'all gonna use the old monument that's at the park? Okay. All right, that was good. Okay. Anything else? When we gonna be moving in there, man?
Wish yesterday.
Yesterday.
But, they're moving along now, as long as the weather holds up and they get the exterior, the grading and stuff finished. Should be in there soon.
Great. It's exciting, I tell you every day,
And
every
we'll
day I
have
ride by there. it's
There will be
even
an
more
open
exciting.
house, we'll have open house, and the whole town will be invited to come, do a walk through and everything else.
Mr. Bunn, I got just a question.
Absolutely.
I'm getting a lot of people asking me about opening, this COVID, did you get an update on that?
Sure. The governor's expected to make an announcement next month or next week in regards to the next phase of, whether we're gonna stay in phase 2, 2.5, go to phase 3. Today was the second highest recorded number of confirmed cases in North Carolina. It would be really, we're gonna follow the governor's lead and other municipalities here in Gaston County. We're really all in the same boat together, that some municipalities are allowing some staff to work from home, and then the majority are doing like we are, really on appointment only, limited availability of public contact in and out, and trying to maintain social distancing. So I will have an announcement next week, that we'll be able to make based on the governor's guidance Wednesday or Thursday. I believe is when that announcement is supposed to come, and then we'll go from there. But, certainly, it's gonna be challenging to see a path forward of us reopening prior to the end of phase 3, given when that is. So, I'll keep you updated, but that's.
So like the skateboard park or whatever, that would be phase 3, you would say, or?
Playgrounds would fall under phase 3, under the initial guidance from the governor's office, but that changed from phase 1 to phase 2. We thought the playgrounds would be, included in phase 2, and then when the governor made the announcement, they were not. So, it would be really the guidance from Raleigh and the guidance from our neighbors here in Caston County.
The neighbors are getting restless. They want to skate, I understand. Okay, no one else has any comments or questions?
I have one question.
Okay.
I'd like to know with the trash cans, where are we putting these trash cans? I mean, are people trying in a trash can?
We have got a significant amount of people that have requested their trash cans to be picked up to stay at that $9 rate as opposed to the 12. We started picking them up last week and into this week, but it is a bit more of a challenge than we originally anticipated because there's been an overwhelming response from residents only wanting one trash can. We're going to attempt to repurpose them on an as-needed basis, but for now, we've been storing them in Public Works, the former water plant, the other side of Spencer Mountain. We've been using them for storage there. I hope that we'll be able to repurpose them to be able to save some money as people come in and out, as long as they're sanitary and able to be reused. But we're making good strides. We've actually rented a vehicle to go around and pick them up so that we can get more at one time, as opposed to throwing one or two on the back of a pickup truck. So that process is well underway, and I do appreciate everyone's patience with that, because we've gotten lots of calls and lots of inquiries about when are my cans going to be picked up, and we've built them the best we can, but we are getting around to it, and hopefully we'll have them picked up in the next couple of weeks.
Well, if we go back to a recycling program, we'll reuse those cans, and that's what they're trying to do in the state or in the county right now.
Yes, sir.
To get recycling back on track.
Right. And that was really the theory behind picking up the blue ones, so that if and when we did decide that we were going to revamp our recycling program, we could have those, I don't know the process, but clean, sanitized, so that they would be suitable for recycling purposes. So you're exactly right.
Yeah, I was thinking that maybe they were gonna put them in the building on the corner.
Oh, the building on the corner.
Use that space.
Well, as you know, the building on the corner is vacant. We finally were able to secure possession of the building around a month or so ago. I've been in it, many of us have been in it. I would be concerned about using it for any type of storage or anything at this point, given the condition, the ceiling is collapsing, the building is in pretty rough shape. So that's certainly something we're gonna have to talk about, look into, to see what's gonna be the best use of that building, whether it would be economically feasible or even physically feasible to be able to remove it, given the close proximity to the other business, because the person who owns the building beside it has already been to see to ask what's going on, very concerned about that wall that is so close between those two. So I'd love to see us have some purpose for it, and we very well may at a later date, but I'd be very hesitant about storing anything in there like that. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, if there's nothing else, I'll make it plea for a motion to adjourn.
Accept your motion.
Second. All in favor of adjournment? So carried.
Thank you so much.
Meeting's adjourned. 7:32.
A little long, right? Yeah,